Part 67. Weird Star Witch. Author, White Silver Black Iron. Chapter 662. When Rudolph returned to Fabreau City, he found that the entire city of Fabreau was under martial law and roadblocks were set up at all intersections, as if they were about to engage in street fighting. He originally planned to find Yanilla again, but he has now been promoted to a level 7 wizard. As long as he cooperates with the charm willingly, he can at least send Yanilla to become a level 5 silver snake. As for whether he can upgrade to level 6, it depends on Yanilla. The talent of pulling. Seeing the current appearance of Fabreau City, Rudolph had to change his plan and went to the Parliament first. In the Speaker's office in the Parliament building, people in Speaker Arden's office were coming in and out, and the entire Parliament was busy. Everyone looked serious, as if facing a formidable enemy. Rudolph sat on the sofa opposite Arden, releasing his absolute anonymity. There was an extra person in the office very naturally. No one else noticed, as if he was already there. When Police Commissioner Caden went to fetch water, he noticed the figure beside him. He rubbed his eyes and made sure. The person coming is Fabreau City's nightmare, the Wizard's Forge. Caden quickly stood up and bowed to the furnace. He was surprised in his heart. When did this god of plague come back? When other people saw Caden's appearance, they all looked at the person Caden was bowing to. When they found out that it was behind the furnace, they all looked nervous. It was Speaker Arden who spoke first and saved the others. Others, please leave first. After the deputies left, only Rudolph, Arden and Caden were left in the office. What happened in Fabreau City? Why are you fighting in Fabreau City? Aren't the noble knights gone? Mr. Furnace, it's not a war with nobles, it's a wolf tide. A serious wolf tide has appeared in the kingdom of Elba. It's so serious that even cities near the border like Fabreau City have been affected. We must take precautions in advance. The higher council suspicious, the werewolves on the ancestral mountain have gone down, and all the werewolves in the wilderness are rushing towards the kingdom of Elba. We are relocating the residents of the surrounding towns and creating fortifications outside Fabreau City, and even within Fabreau City. Build roadblocks just to hold on longer. Wolf Tide, has the wolf tide started again? In order to destroy the authority, the werewolves finally took action. It was the wolf tide launched by the werewolves from Xuanhuan who came down from the mountain. Rudolph stood up, put on his hat, and said to Arden, I understand. I'm going to deal with the high-level werewolves nearby. The low-level werewolves don't have time to take care of them, so I'll leave it to you. After finishing the exchange in a few words, Caden watched the furnace disappear without a trace before his eyes. He didn't wait for the door to open, nor did he wait for the window to open. He didn't know where the furnace left. Speaker, is the furnace gone? Gone. Gone, right. 6-winged bat wings sprouted from behind Rudolph, and he flew quickly towards the wilderness. Of course, even if he flew close to the heads of the patrol officers below, or even passed through the police officers' bodies, the police officers were not aware of it. He discovered the first werewolf tribe in the wilderness outside Fabreau City, which was a level 4 werewolf tribe. Level 4 werewolves are a little troublesome for Fabreau City at this time. We were passing by and it was fate that we saw him. Rudolph came to the level 4 werewolf. The level 4 werewolf was watching his men skinning a farmer with great interest, but he had no ability to spot Rudolph. A gunshot appeared out of thin air, startling the surrounding werewolves. The gunshot came from a level 4 werewolf. The other werewolves saw a man suddenly appear in front of the level 4 werewolf, holding a revolver against the level 4 werewolf's head and firing. After watching the level 4 werewolf being killed, Rudolph felt that it was a fatal flaw in his absolute invisibility. When attacking, he would definitely show his body shape and could not hide. There is no need to shoot so close next time, you can shoot from a little further away. He turned around and fired casually, shooting at several level 3 werewolves. After the level 3 werewolves were almost dead, Rudolf disappeared again. The werewolves were running away in all directions, with sounds of fear in their throats. This was simply haunted. Continue walking deeper into the wilderness, especially to the southwest, and encounter more werewolf tribes. Every time Rudolf takes a shot, he is simple and efficient. He kills the Wolf King and then shoots the surrounding high-level werewolves. The werewolf tribe will collapse quickly. Level 4 werewolf tribe, Level 5 werewolf tribe, Level 6 werewolf tribe. Until Rudolf eliminated 3 Level 6 werewolves, the wave finally changed its direction and retreated. Rudolf then stopped and returned to Fabreau City. It was already 9 a.m. when we returned to Fabreau City. Rudolf entered the speaker's office and took out a cloth bag with piles of relics inside. "Speaker Arden, I have cleared out the high-level werewolves nearby, including 3 Level 6 werewolves. Your defense force is not enough to deal with these werewolves. Please apply to the county council as soon as possible to increase the defense force, otherwise several cities on the border will be destroyed." Destroyed by the wolf tide. Sheriff Caden glanced at the bag. The relics in the bag were still stained with blood, and the furnace had obviously not been processed yet. It's really a bag full of werewolf relics. If a wizard saw so many relics, he would go crazy with joy. Speaker Arden said, "I understand. I will apply to the county council for support." Fortunately, without this precious buffer time, Fabreau City may have been destroyed by the first wave of wolves. There were actually Level 6 werewolves in the wolf wave. Fabreau City doesn't have many Level 6 alchemy weapons. After briefly listening to Arden's defense plan, Rudolf left the speaker's office again. He was very tired this night and he was eager to go to Yanila's place to rest. When Yanila saw Rudolf suddenly appearing on the bed in the bedroom, she excitedly closed the curtains and locked the door. Looking at Yanila, who jumped towards him happily, Rudolf felt much better. The more chaotic the world is, the more Rudolf cherishes his former friends and lovers, who can bring him warmth. "Have you studied new tricks?" "My dear Yanila, I have become a Level 7 wizard, and it is easy for me to help you become a Level 5 silver snake. I hope you will work harder. If you can become a Level 6 silver snake, you will be much safer." Yanila was happy for Rudolf and herself when she heard that Rudolf became a Level 7 wizard. The higher the level of the apostle you charm, the easier it is for you to be promoted. Yanila's voice was soft and sticky. "This time I studied bubble baths, and I promise to let you experience the happiness of silver snakes." Rudolf opened his heart and willingly let Yanila charm him. Yanila was also in the bathtub, rubbing Rudolf with her body covered in bubbles, making Rudolf feel itchy all over. Yanila lay on Rudolf's chest, and the two were wrapped in slippery special silver snake soap bubbles. Yanila completed her promotion in Rudolf's release. "I wanted to take you with me, but the werewolves of Zushan have gone down the mountain, and Elba is full of dangers. Yanila, the enemy I will face next is too powerful. Compared with staying with me, it is safer for you and your mother to hide among ordinary people. Wait until I get rid of my enemies, and then come to pick you up, okay?" Yanila has fallen asleep, only humming in her throat, which is considered to be an agreement with Rudolf. Weird Star Witch. Author, White Silver Black Iron. Chapter 663. A few days later, a huge airship fleet arrived in Fabreau. 80 airships from the 2nd and 3rd Armies of the Constitutional Army and the Air Force, led by Norberto, the deputy commander of the Constitutional Army and the commander of the Air Force, landed on the outskirts of Fabreau. Norberto had 2 missions on this trip. The first was to stop the cavalry corps of Marquis Adine from going north. This mission had failed because of the appearance of the furnace. Damn the furnace, one person achieved the deterrence of the 2 armies of the Air Force, forcing Norberto to retreat. The second mission was to come to the southern border to deal with the aftermath of the Elba wolf tide. The prophecy of the power of destruction caused a large-scale wolf tide in Elba. The werewolves in the wilderness were gathering on the border of Elba, and the aftermath posed a huge threat to the border between the two countries. Norberto sympathized with the kingdom of Elba very much. He didn't know what happened to this kingdom. It had been a disaster one after another in the past 2 years. Carolingian had a headache because of the troubles on the border. He didn't know how the people of Elba persisted. When he approached Fabreau, he was mentally prepared for Fabreau to be destroyed by the wolf tide. The scale of the wolf tide was unprecedented, and even the residual power was not something that Fabreau could resist. Of course, he also had some expectations. This city is so special. It gave birth to the Crucible, the most active and strange wizard. When Norberto saw Fabreau from a distance, he was surprised and relaxed. Everything in Fabreau was normal, without any trace of destruction. The whole city was running normally, and even the power plants in the suburbs were spewing thick smoke, proving that the suburbs of Fabreau were not affected, but this place is so close to the wilderness, right on the edge of the wilderness. The huge fleet landed on the outskirts of Fabreau, and had long observed that the city council members of the Constitutional Army and the Aerospace Army were waiting on the ground. After seeing the speaker here, Norberto asked, "Speaker, you are on the front line facing the wolf tide. What is the current situation of the wolf tide?" Yadan replied, "Admiral Norberto, Fabreau City is not threatened by the wolf tide for the time being. This is a good thing, but why?" Yadan said, "A wizard reached a compromise with the Fabreau City Council. No matter how evil the wizard is, this is his hometown. When he passed by here, he eliminated all the nearby wolf kings. He even left a level 6 werewolf magic weapon for the council, so that the city council has stronger strength to resist the possible wolf tide. Under his attack, the werewolf tribes that lost their wolf kings turned around and went south, where there are more high-level werewolves who can reorganize them." "What? He actually left you a level 6 magic weapon?" Norberto knew that the wizard that Speaker Arden was talking about was the furnace that he had fought with more than 10 days ago. It is not so accurate to say that they have fought. It was just that the furnace threatened him unilaterally and successfully deterred him, so that he did not act rashly in the end. Norberto reported the encounter with the furnace in detail to the military headquarters of the Constitutional Army. He believed that the military headquarters would not punish him. In that case, not compromising would only ruin the two armies of the Aerospace Army. Unexpectedly, the name of the furnace was heard here again, and the furnace was a person who helped the parliament. Not only did he clean up the werewolves around, but he also left a magic weapon. Human nature is really complicated. As cruel as the furnace, it has always maintained a trace of warmth for its hometown. In addition to being keen on killing the speaker and the deputy speaker, it did not do anything to Fabreau City. After the Fabreau City Council and the furnace reached a compromise, the furnace actually helped the Fabreau City Council. It was really unpredictable. Where did the furnace go? The furnace left. He entered the wilderness and headed south. He said he would go all the way south to clean up the werewolves he met. Hearing this news, Norberto could imagine what was about to happen in the wilderness. The abilities of werewolves are relatively monotonous, and they simply cannot muster enough strength to deal with the strange abilities of the furnace. Alchemists have high-level alchemical weapons, and even if high-level apostles are mixed into small cities, they are not completely defenseless, but werewolves are different. Werewolves have extremely monotonous abilities, and they use whatever their bodies have. Even if they count mutant werewolves, they are all mutant abilities that specialize in destruction, and it is impossible to fight against the strange constellation abilities of the furnace. The furnace is like a fly, flying back and forth in the Sarago Sea, and the evil god cult in the southern continent can't do anything to the furnace. Now that the furnace has become a level 7 wizard, Norberto's staff officer searched for information for a long time before finding the name of the Lacerda wizard in some corners of the history books. Norberto asked again, "Did the furnace really leave?" "He really left. Before he left, he told us to be well prepared and not to be attacked by low-level werewolves. Okay, stop saying good things for the furnace. I know this is the hometown of the furnace. I know the furnace has reached a compromise with you. The Senate supported the compromise between the Fabreau City Council and the furnace. It was impossible for the Senate to send enough forces to fight against the furnace in the remote city of Fabreau. It was the most realistic and feasible way to let the local council and the heretic apostle reach a compromise. Rudolph left 2 level 6 magic weapons for Yanilla and 1 level 6 magic weapon for the city council, and hurriedly left Fabreau. When leaving Leger, the capital of the Elba Council, he reached an agreement with the Elba Senate to jointly fight against the Wolftide. Regardless of whether the Elba Senate was serious about this agreement, he was ready to implement it seriously. Coming to this strange world, Rudolph hated the Wolftide first and the evil god cult second. He was very active in dealing with these two families even if he was not paid. After entering Elba, Rudolph saw the first town destroyed by the Wolftide. Walking in the ghost-like town, Rudolph's face was ashen. The white walls were covered with splattered dirty blood, and the streets were full of hands and feet, which were meatless parts that were unwilling to be eaten by werewolves. Broken street lights, overturned benches, broken doors, broken windows, smelly blood, skeletons surrounded by crows and vultures. The residents of this town who did not have time to escape died in the Wolftide and became food for werewolves. Rudolph covered his mouth and nose, his eyelids drooped. How could it become like this? How could it become like this? 6-winged bat wings appeared behind Rudolph, and Rudolph flew high into the sky, flying south, looking for the largest werewolf tribe nearby. At this time, a dozen kilometers south of the town, a tribe of level 7 werewolves were rushing across the land. In the flying dust, there were werewolves. The level 7 werewolves looked ahead, and ahead was the first city in the northern border of Elba. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Weird Star Witch. Author, White Silver Black Iron. Chapter 664. The level 7 werewolf tribe has more than 50,000 werewolves in the tribe through wolf poison infection and continuous reproduction, which is an extremely large number. When this werewolf tribe appeared on the outskirts of the city, the first action was to spread out to both wings. There must be enough battle line length to allow so many werewolves to play the advantage of numbers. Endless werewolves rushed in the dust, and the pack of wolves let out terrifying roars, showing their impatience. The air in the city was suffocating. More than a dozen airships in this border city were hovering in the air. These airships were old models eliminated by the Constitutional Army, and there were not many high-level alchemical weapons on them. The citizens hiding in the closet could not see anything. They were happy at this time. At least they did not have to experience despair before death. The high-level members of the parliament on the airship were pale one by one. So many werewolves gathered like locusts, just waiting for the high-level werewolves to issue an attack order. When the shrill wolf howl sounded, these werewolves would rush into the city like crazy. The defense nodes set up by the police station on the road were simply vulnerable. The firepower provided by the airship was better than nothing. If there were no main force of the Elba Constitutional Army, the city would be completely destroyed in the next half an hour. This small city with only 70,000 people had no power to fight against a tribe with 50,000 werewolves. The speaker looked into the depths of the wilderness, and he even saw other huge werewolf tribes bypassing the city and continuing to rush to the depths of Elba. It was terrible. All the werewolves in the wilderness were dispatched. All the level 8 werewolves and level 7 werewolves left the ancestral mountain, vowing to turn Elba into a dead place. The director of the trial office suddenly said, "Speaker, I'll go to the ground. It's more useful than here. Killing one werewolf is one." For some reason, the director of the trial office gave up the chance to escape. All the members were on the airship. If the war didn't go well, they had an escape plan. The chief of the police station next to him also threw away his cigarette. "I'll go to the ground too, and kill as many as I can." The two of them jumped off the airship without waiting for the speaker's consent. Their confidants, as well as the young people in the police station and the trial who were willing to die, jumped with them. Some people choose to live and die with the city in the disaster, and they are all worthy of admiration. Some other members of parliament had shame on their faces, while others were eager to move, and seemed to want to go to the ground to fight the werewolves. The speaker closed his eyes painfully, and he turned his head to look at the head of the Constitutional Army. "Lieutenant Colonel, hasn't the support of the Constitutional Army arrived yet?" The head of the lieutenant colonel shook his head. The 81st Army of the Constitutional Army encountered a level 8 werewolf tribe. The appearance of the level 8 werewolf tribe completely disrupted the planned deployment of the Constitutional Army in the Pain region. "We can only rely on ourselves. The Kingdom of Elba has 3 regions bordering the wilderness: the Pain region in the north, the Luberon region in the middle, and the Garonne region in the south. The Eagle's Beak Peninsula, where Rudolph often stayed, is a province under the Garonne region." After a pause, the head of the group added, "I will also go to the ground, Speaker." After that, in addition to the troops operating the airship, the Constitutional Army flew to the ground one by one under the command of officers at all levels. The speaker looked at the werewolf army in the suburbs and asked the deputy speaker, "Have all the towns outside been destroyed?" The deputy speaker said, "Yes, even several towns east of the city have been destroyed. Now there are werewolf tribes of different levels in all directions of our city. This level 7 werewolf tribe in front of us is just the strongest among many werewolf tribes." A group of flying birds hovered over the city: crows, sparrows, magpies, woodpeckers, etc., all mixed up and kept circling. Even the flying birds did not dare to fly out, and did not dare to face the terrifying werewolf breath. Soon, all the werewolf tribes fell into the attack position. More than 50,000 werewolves occupied 3/4 of the area outside the city, waiting for the attack order from the Wolf King. Time passed by minute, and the speaker's head was covered with cold sweat. His city was destined to be destroyed. He didn't know if he would have the courage to die with the city. Suddenly, there was silence between heaven and earth, and the cries in various places in the city became unusually clear. Brave citizens climbed onto the rooftops with weapons, wearing bullet belts, and would use their own strength to guard their homes. Many people were looking outside the city with telescopes. The huge werewolf tribe and the astonishing number of werewolves crushed their confidence. There were too many, really too many. Werewolves will become stronger and stronger in the wolf tide. People bitten by werewolves will either become food or wolf servants, which will cause the number of werewolf tribes to continue to expand in the wolf tide. After sweeping across the city, this werewolf tribe will have tens of thousands more werewolves. Waiting, anxious waiting, desperate waiting, no one knows when the level 7 werewolf will howl for his life. The speaker on the airship became more and more uneasy and painful. In fact, the werewolves on the periphery were also somewhat puzzled. They had already reached the attack position for more than 10 minutes, so why hadn't they launched the attack yet? At this moment, sporadic gunshots reached the ears of all the werewolves and also reached the airship. Not long after, an unknown werewolf howled in fear, and many werewolves realized the problem. Some of the alpha wolves howled, wanting to get a response from the superior wolf king, but he found that the superior wolf king had no voice. The werewolf tribe finally discovered the problem. The wolf king was dead. The level 7 wolf king was dead. Died silently. I don't know why he died. Not only the level 7 wolf kings, but also the level 6 wolf kings began to die. There were 15 level 6 wolf kings in this werewolf tribe, and all these level 6 werewolves died within 10 minutes. It was as if a ghost-like venomous snake was moving through the werewolf tribe, swallowing up high-level werewolves silently. Gunshots? That sounded so fragile. That gunshot that shouldn't have appeared in the werewolf tribe. Every gunshot represented the death of a wolf king. Someone was wandering in the werewolf tribe and shooting all the high-level werewolves. Telescope. Where's the telescope? The speaker stretched out his hand tremblingly and asked his subordinates for a telescope. He thought he would not need a telescope today. Anyway, he was waiting to die, and he didn't need to see the situation in the distance clearly. He saw from the telescope that in the werewolf tribe, there was a hollow area at every distance. In the center of the hollow area were dead high-level werewolves, and on the periphery were other werewolves fleeing for their lives. That was the instinctive escape behavior of the werewolves after they saw the wolf king being killed. Who can shuttle silently in the werewolf tribe? Can they still kill so many high-level werewolves? Then, the speaker put down the telescope, because he could see what happened next with his naked eyes. The purple nine-headed giant snake stood up with a terrifying body in the hissing sound, and more than a dozen meteorites fell from the sky, surrounding the city and smashing into the werewolf tribe. When seeing the purple nine-headed giant snake Sudila, the counselors behind him had already shouted that name. Furnace. Wizard Furnace. Weird Star Witch. Author, White Silver Black Iron. Chapter 665. Rudolph stood on the highest snake head with his hands folded in front of his chest, leaving a tall back view to the city. If there was some background music, the people of the city would have a deeper impression of the furnace. The roar of meteorites falling to the ground resounded throughout the world, and meteorites fell one by one, just as Rudolph's entrance music. Rudolph looked down at the panicked wolf pack on the snake head. Tens of thousands of werewolves fled in panic. Rudolph had to kill as many werewolves as possible before the wolf pack dispersed and became sparse. It was rare to have such a concentrated number of werewolves. Rudolph was not fighting alone. His three forbidden puppets converted the apostle power in their bodies into star power and transmitted it to Rudolph. In addition, Rudolph's own star power was much more powerful than that of ordinary wizards. He could instantly create more than a dozen meteorites as big as a stadium. Each meteorite was as big as a stadium. The werewolves that were directly hit were completely destroyed, leaving a deep meteorite crater in place. The werewolves closer to the crater were vaporized by the meteorite's fire waves, and the werewolves farther away were burned to death by the high temperature. Meteorites are not very solid, and they will turn into flying fragments after landing. Werewolves far away may be killed by the red stones of the construction. Some werewolves with bad brains rushed towards the 100-meter giant beast Sudila. Sudila's house-like snake head fell again and again, crushing the werewolves to death. The starlight snake Sudila began to move and crawl forward, crushing the werewolves with its body and head. The nine-headed Sudila was responsible for the werewolves nearby, and the meteorites were responsible for the werewolves in the distance. The suburbs of the city suddenly became unusually bright. Purple giant snakes, red meteorites, roaring meteorite impacts, and surging hot air waves. Those ordinary people who climbed up to the rooftop with old shotguns, excitedly waved their shotguns, and kept shouting at the colorful night sky, until their voices were hoarse, but they didn't know that the roar of the meteorite was too loud, covering all other sounds. The bold women carefully opened the curtains, worried that the werewolves had attacked the city so quickly, but when they saw the meteorite outside the city, they thought that the alchemist had developed some new weapon. The citizens came out of the closet, the basement, and the cellar. They stood on the street and cheered for the meteorite and the behemoth. The director of the Judgment Bureau, who was ready to fight to the death, had just handed the suicide note to his trusted subordinates, ready to let his subordinates take it to the child. He looked at the behemoth in the distance and recognized these iconic wizard abilities. The furnace is not only the Southern Cross assassin, but also the Hydra characteristics that Scorpio wizards will accommodate when they are level 6 wizards, which can create the Starlight Serpent Hydra. The director of the Judgment Bureau breathed a sigh of relief. It seems that he will not die today. Not long after, the chief of police arrived nearby. He no longer had to organize policemen to die, and his mood improved. The chief of police asked, "Is that the wizard on the Saragosi?" "Yes, it's that wizard. I didn't expect that I would see a sense of security in a wizard." On the snakehead of Sudila, Rudolph turned back and looked at the city with disgust. It was too troublesome. He couldn't use poison gas. It would be bad if the poison gas drifted into the city. If he could use poison gas, he could use less star power and a simpler method to create a poisonous fog city in a short time, poisoning all the werewolves to death. Fortunately, he accommodated the characteristics of the sextant constellation and could create meteorites, which made up for his lack of large-scale attack methods. After becoming a level 7 wizard, Rudolph finally became a big man on the northern continent and had the ability to change the situation. If he was unhappy, everyone would have a headache. This is the deterrent power of a level 7 wizard. Presumably, the Carolingian kingdom and the Elba royal family will soon withdraw their wanted orders against him. Times have changed. Rudolph will not let anyone who makes him unhappy have a chance to be unhappy. Without the level 7 and level 6 wolf kings, these werewolves are at most level 5 werewolves. After a brief struggle, they can no longer form an organized attack or retreat. They lower their heads and scream and flee everywhere, without even a direction. Some instinctively flee back to the wilderness in the west, and some flee to a deeper place in the east. The fleeing werewolves, just like when they came, stirred up a blanket of dust. The frequency of meteorite landings is getting lower and lower. After the last few level 5 werewolf tribes that can still maintain their organization are hit by meteorites, Rudolph can no longer find a place where werewolves gather. The werewolves don't care about their wolf kings or alpha wolves at all, and they only know to run for their lives without thinking. The werewolves fled farther and farther, and became more and more scattered. Rudolph's meteorite attacks are not worth the loss, so he stopped attacking those werewolves. It is impossible to count how many werewolves were killed this time, and there are no corpses of werewolves hit by meteorites. On the airship, the speaker and a group of congressmen looked at the figure standing on the snakehead excitedly. Isn't Furnace the wizard who likes to kill the speaker the most? Why is he here and protecting the city? The head of the Constitutional Army knows more. The military has sent a message saying that if you see Furnace in the Wolftide, don't attack him, because the Constitutional Army and Furnace have reached an agreement to jointly fight against the Wolftide. Some congressmen complained in their hearts, what does "don't attack Furnace" mean? Looking at the exaggerated strength of Furnace, shouldn't they expect Furnace not to attack the Constitutional Army? The speaker said excitedly, in other words, Furnace is our man? Where is the director of the trial bureau? Send him a signal and let him come up. It is still the witch hunter who knows the wizard best. The intelligence of important wizards has been exchanged in the trial bureau system. He has to ask the director of the trial bureau. As soon as he finished speaking, the director of the judicial office had already landed on the deck and walked towards the speaker. The speaker quickly asked him, "Are there any documents within the judgment office? What's going on with the Furnace?" The director of the judicial office said, "There are documents. The judicial department of the capital city has issued a special document explaining the behavioral preferences of the Furnace. The hometown of the Furnace is a small town, and that town was destroyed by the Wolftide. Therefore, the Furnace hates the Wolftide very much, even more than he hates us alchemists." Still hate? The speaker curled his lips. What are you talking about? Does the Furnace hate the alchemist so much? You see, the Furnace is not helping the alchemist. The Judgment Department organized a research team to study the character and past of the Furnace. They discovered that the hometown of the Furnace, a small town called Lehman Town, where the evil priest created an insect plague and was attacked by a wolftide. This is why the Furnace, the reason why he never showed mercy after seeing the evil cult and werewolves. The harm a person suffers when he is young will be retaliated twice as he grows up. When he first became a wizard, he failed to protect his hometown. Therefore, Furness sought psychological compensation after becoming a high-level wizard. He killed the priest when he saw him on the Saragosse. The evil god who killed him had to order the volcano to avoid Furness. The same goes for werewolves. The Judgment Department and the Forge signed an agreement to fight against the Wolftide. The Judgment Department believes that the Forge will implement this agreement seriously. It is not that the Forge keeps its promise, but that he will take the initiative to make up for the pain of not being able to protect his hometown before. The Furnace dealt with the Alchemy Council for the same reason. The Speaker of Fabreau City played a disgraceful role in the destruction of the Forge's hometown. The Furnace killed the Speaker and Deputy Speaker of Fabreau City for several rounds, thus obtaining the Melting Pot. The title is a terrifying blast furnace that specializes in hunting down senior alchemists such as the Speaker. The Speaker and Deputy Speaker looked a little worried. They thought they should not see the Furnace for a while. The Furnace was too murderous. What if looking at them reminded them of the Speaker and Deputy Speaker of Fabreau City? Don't be implicated then. The Speaker felt that he should send the director of the judicial office to see the Furnace and communicate with the Furnace, and then he would not go. Director, you go see the Furnace. My identity makes it inconvenient to see him. He has an elusive temperament. He kills people and hunts for relics at every turn. Just in case. At this moment, the director suddenly coughed non-stop to remind the Speaker. The Speaker turned his head, eyes wide open, and a young man suddenly appeared next to him. Furnace. It's a melting pot. Rudolph ignored the Speaker's complaints about him and looked at the Constitutional Army. What are you doing standing still? Chase. Didn't you see that the werewolves were running away? I was just passing by to help. Why am I doing the work? You guys, are you a theater goer? The Furnace looked very impatient, and all the MPs were silent. The combat power shown by the Furnace just now was really terrifying. The high-level werewolves among the 50,000 werewolves, whether they were level 7 werewolves or level 6 werewolves, all died silently. The Wolftide did not attack the city because the Wolf King who could give orders had long been cleared by the Furnace. If these werewolves are defeated head-on, the alchemists will only feel that the Furnace is really powerful, but killing high-level werewolves silently will only make these alchemists feel incomprehensible and frightened. If the Wolf King can be sniped quietly inside the Wolftide, can he also snipe the alchemist in the council? Then the method of killing low-level werewolves was like a natural disaster, like a high-level druid. It was the director of the judicial department who reacted first. Mr. Furnace, I will notify everyone to counterattack right now. He has read many files and knows that the tribunal of the Eagle Beak province and the Forge cooperate tacitly. The Forge must have a good impression of the Elba tribunal system, otherwise they would not be able to cooperate so many times. It's a bit strange that wizards and witch hunters have a good relationship, but the Furnace is not an ordinary wizard, and the witch hunter wants to change his name. Go quickly, there are only level 5 werewolves left in the Wolftide, you should be able to deal with it. Rudolph looked at the Speaker beside him and asked him. You are the Speaker, right? What did you say about my temperament just now? You have a passionate temperament and a full sense of justice. This is in front of the Wolftide, otherwise I will definitely give you some clues and let you know why I am called the Melting Pot. Rudolph asked him again, tell me about Elba's situation. I can't leave Elba until now. How could it suddenly become like this in a month? The two deputy speakers quickly signaled everyone to leave and follow the requirements of the Furnace to hunt down the werewolves. Don't be an eyesore here. The two deputy speakers were also preparing to leave quietly. The Speaker heard the footsteps retreating behind him and felt that these people were unreliable, so he threw him here alone. He swallowed and said, the United States of West Elba officially declared a state of emergency and issued a war mobilization order, sweeping the entire country. The Wolftide on the western border is coming. Wait, the United States of West Elba? Yes, the upper house of the Alchemy Parliament asked King Carloman XVI of Elba for help, hoping that the royal family could fight the wolf tide together. However, Carloman XVI rejected the request of the House of Lords and demanded that the alchemy parliaments at all levels be dissolved, and all alchemists pledged their allegiance to him and sent the Speaker of the Provincial Council to the Holy Grail city for execution, otherwise he would not send a single cavalryman to fight against the wolf tide. After receiving this reply, the House of Lords voted unanimously to formally separate from the Kingdom of Elba and establish the United States of Western Elba. It legally separated from the Elba royal family and there was no room for relaxation. Although the Elba civil war has been going on for more than 3 years, they were still legally a kingdom during the civil war. The royal family's demand was restoration, and the alchemists' demand was to return to before the civil war. Rudolf sighed, "I understand, you have come to this point. The kingdom of Elba is completely divided and there is no possibility of reconciliation. The people of West Elba will always remember Carloman XVI's decision to refuse support, and this hatred will become deeper and deeper as the wolf tide expands. It can't be said that Carloman XVI is short-sighted. The temptation of eternal life is in front of him. The power of destruction is said to be in the land of West Elba. I don't know what form it will take and when it will appear. Maybe he doesn't care about the people of West Elba at all. What he cares about is eternal life and the power of destruction." The speaker continued. On the border of West Elba, there are many werewolf tribes. They extend from the Pen district in the north to the Garonne district in the south. Almost all the werewolves in the wilderness have gathered here and launched a wolf tide against the United States of West Elba. According to our observation, the werewolves don't even have supplies. If they want to fill their stomachs, they need to go deeper into West Elba to find livestock and people to fight and support the war. As you can see, Mr. Furness, what happened in our city is what is happening in every city on the border of West Elba. The Constitutional Army had to mobilize a large number of forces from the eastern battlefield and put them into the western border to fight the wave. The military said that the noble knights did not immediately add insult to injury. They just wanted to wait until the wolf tide consumed the strength of the Constitutional Army before attacking. But there is no other way. We know that withdrawing the main force from the Eastern Front will increase the possibility of defeat, but the wolf tide in the west is even more terrifying. Mr. Furness, this is the current situation in West Elba. On behalf of the entire city's residents, I thank you for protecting the city from the wolf tide." Rudolf patted the speaker on the shoulder. "Next, I will go south all the way, along the border to the south. You must take care of yourself. If you can't, ask for help from the Carolingian Alchemy Council in the north. The Carolingian United States wants to fight against their noble knights. I hope they have the power to help us." Carolingian United States? Carolingian has also officially split. Yes, the Carolingian Alchemy Council did not hesitate and directly announced the establishment of the Carolingian United States, and King Lothair XI announced the establishment of the Kingdom of Lothair. It really makes trouble. Weird Star Witch. Author, White Silver Black Iron. Chapter 666. The Commander-in-Chief of the Constitutional Army of the United States of West Elba, Level 8 Alchemist Stein, was listening to the Deputy Commander's report with a sullen face. No one knew how many werewolves there were in the wilderness before, but now they know that from north to south, more than 100 Level 7 werewolf tribes have appeared, and each Level 7 werewolf tribe has about 50,000 werewolves. Nearly 6 million werewolves are distributed along the long border, engulfing cities one after another like locusts. The wilderness occupies 1/3 of the continent. No one expected that there would be so many werewolves living in the wilderness. The resistance of the Constitutional Army was not smooth. The fighting situation in the Luberon region in the middle was not bad. They quickly withstood the pressure of the werewolves and the front remained unchanged. However, in the Garonne region in the south and the Pain region in the north, The constitutional army is not as strong as the Chinese army and is completely at a disadvantage. 2 counties in the northern Pen region have been completely devoured by werewolves, and they have become a dead land. Report. A staff officer interrupted the deputy commander's report. The deputy commander looked at the staff officer strangely. He was a little unhappy. The staff officer couldn't control so much, he said excitedly. Commander-in-Chief. Good news came from the Pain region in the north. 8 level 7 werewolf tribes have been defeated. Someone is crushing the werewolf tribe with a very exaggerated strength. The level 7 werewolf tribe composed of 50,000 werewolves is here. That person has no resistance in front of him, and he has the ability to easily kill the Wolf King's level 7 werewolf and a group of level 6 werewolves among 50,000 werewolves. What? Commander-in-Chief Stein looked at the staff officer in shock. It would take a lot of effort for him to fight against a level 7 werewolf tribe with 50,000 werewolves. How could anyone easily kill the Wolf King among 100,000 werewolves? Commander-in-Chief, according to the news from the garrison of the Constitutional Army in the Pen region and the Inquisition office, they saw the forge. The wizard forge came back from the Carolingian kingdom. After he came back, he happened to meet the people from the Pen region. Wolf-tied, he didn't make any demands to the local judicial office and directly started fighting against Wolf-tied. Commander-in-Chief Stein and the deputy commander looked at each other, both seeing the shock in each other's eyes. Quick, go and ask Duan, the head of the judgment department, he is most familiar with the situation in the furnace. The main force of the Judgment Department came to the front line with the Constitutional Army, and the Judgment Department also received the news. At this time, Duan was on his way to the Commander-in-Chief's office. After entering the office, Duan saw a group of senior military officers in the office, including the Commander-in-Chief, Deputy Commander-in-Chief, Chief of General Staff, etc. Minister Duan, please tell me about the furnace. He is very important to the war in the north. Duan sat down and explained. Commander-in-Chief Stein, the attitude of the judicial department has always been to use all available resources to unite all those who can be united. Although the furnace has a bad record of killing the speaker, we have already studied it because of what happened in his hometown. Well, the order of his enemies is werewolf first, evil god second, and alchemist third. If you are fighting against werewolves or evil god priests, you don't need to give any benefits to the furnace. You only need to give the time and place, and he may take action. The current situation proves that what we have been doing is correct. Our enemies and the enemies of the furnace overlap. The forge passed through the Pain area and encountered a wave of wolves. He killed the werewolves more actively than anyone else. More importantly, Commander-in-Chief, Forge said when he left Legerer that he was going to the Carolingian kingdom for promotion. I doubt that Forge was really promoted to a level 7 wizard. A group of senior officers whispered that Furnace had become a level 7 wizard, no wonder he could easily kill level 7 werewolves. Do you know which constellation of wizards in the northern sky was promoted by the Furnace? Based on the traces of the Furnace, I discussed it with Mr. Eric, a level 7 speech spirit. Mr. Eric believed that the Furnace contained a very rare one when it was promoted. It's also an extremely dangerous constellation, Tiger Scorpion. Stein and other senior officials had never heard of the Lacerda wizard, and they looked puzzled as they didn't know what was so powerful about this constellation. Duan continued. Later, actually also called the chameleon or the lizard, is a constellation in the northern sky that is good at hiding. There were very few Lacerda wizards in history. Every time a Lacerda wizard appeared, it was always accompanied by the mysterious disappearance and death of high-level apostles. Unless there are special level 8 apostles, no one can find traces of the Lacerda wizard. It is unknowable and unsearchable. Mr. Eric said it cannot be divined. Even if a level 7 speaking spirit takes the blood of the Lacerda wizard, it cannot divine the traces of the Lacerda wizard. The stupid level 7 werewolf couldn't have known that the Lacerda wizard had passed through the 50,000 werewolves surrounding him, easily stood beside him, and then launched a sneak attack on the Wolf King. From our previous observations, the Forge has many extremely powerful attack methods. In front of the apostles of the same level, few people can resist a blow from the furnace, let alone a sneak attack. This is also the reason why the furnace can easily and continuously eliminate several level 7 werewolf tribes in a short period of time. Commander-in-Chief, what we have to do now is to hold back the level 8 werewolves who came down from the Ancestor Mountain. As long as the level 8 werewolf is held back, based on the furnace's hatred of werewolves and the furnace's current capabilities and characteristics, he can quickly clear out the werewolf tribe in the north and preserve our strength. Okay, launch an offensive against the level 8 werewolf tribe immediately to prevent the level 8 werewolves from leaving Luberon and heading to the Pain region. Stein said after thinking, Minister Duan, I would like to ask you to go to the Pain region and get in touch with the furnace as soon as possible, and then let the Constitutional Army in the north cooperate with the furnace to deal with the werewolves more efficiently. No matter how suitable the furnace is for the decapitation tactic, he is only one person, and those low-level werewolves who escaped still need the help of the Constitutional Army. The Commander-in-Chief's words made other senior officials whisper. They heard the word decapitation and instinctively feared the word. The two armies faced each other, and the safety of the weapons had not been opened. As a result, the enemy successfully implemented the decapitation tactic. Unless this army has a very high degree of organization and faith, it will collapse immediately. For example, if this office is beheaded by a werewolf, the Constitutional Army will collapse immediately. Unless the House of Lords quickly sends someone or designates a certain army group commander as the new commander-in-chief and forms a new headquarters, the Constitutional Army will collapse. Okay, I'll go to the north right now. But Commander-in-Chief, I can't guarantee that I can contact Furnace. After Furnace became a Lacerda wizard, I can't find him. Whether we can meet depends on whether he wants to see me. The Chief of Staff suddenly said, Does Furnace have another trading company in Eagle's Beak Peninsula? Duan said quickly. Don't touch that trading company. There is Furnace's woman in that trading company. If we dare to attack that trading company, Furnace will have to adjust the order of enemies, and it will become Alchemist first and Werewolf second. Not only can we not attack the Volcano Trading Company, we must also send a message to the Navy as soon as possible, so that the Navy will focus on protecting the Volcano Trading Company. In fighting against the Wolf Tide, the biggest role of the Navy is to make Furnace have a good mood and let Furnace play to its full potential in the Wolf Tide. You are right, I will send an order to the Constitutional Navy and let them protect Furnace's shipping company. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Weird Star Witch. Author, White Silver Black Iron. Chapter 667. Chapter 667 Taurus Forbidden Technique, Pulverized World. Not only was Duan, the Minister of Judgment, on the way to the north, the level 8 Black Wolf had just left the top of the Werewolf Ancestor Mountain. The distant ancestor Corvinus conveyed the order that several level 7 werewolves had died in the Pain region northwest of West Elba. The distant ancestor could not feel their wolf souls, and a large number of tribesmen were being slaughtered. The distant ancestor Corvinus asked the level 8 Black Wolf to go to the Pain region of West Elba to investigate the abnormalities there. The level 8 Black Wolf had no followers behind him and left the ancestor mountain alone. Even none of the werewolves along the way could find him. The mutant Black Wolf, a werewolf known for its stealth, is the best werewolf at lurking and attacking. At this time, Rudolph did not know that he had become the most eye-catching existence on the front line of the One-Third Wolf Tide, nor did he know that the Werewolf Ancestor Mountain and the Alchemist were trying to find him. Rudolph was furious and made a full-strength attack, killing one or two wolf servants. This is a tragedy on Earth. Two children in their teens were bitten by a level 1 werewolf and turned into wolf servants. When Rudolph arrived at the town, the two children who were poisoned by the wolf were unconscious and began to bite the people closest to them. Behind them was their mother. The level 1 werewolf even left the werewolf form and observed the two wolf servants biting their mother with interest in human form, because he found that the mother did not resist at all. The abdomen was torn open and the internal organs were scattered outside. The mother was still stroking the heads of the two wolf servants, as if she was stroking the delicate head of a baby when she was feeding. The wolf servant who had just been poisoned by the wolf and completely lost consciousness did not know that this was their mother. When Rudolph entered the yard, he saw such a tragedy. At this moment, his blood surged, Rudolph's face was flushed, and his red eyes stared at his dead mother. A person suddenly appeared beside the level 1 werewolf at some point and immediately turned back into a werewolf and pounced on Rudolph. A minute later, the level 1 werewolf and two wolf servants were dead in the yard. The starlight snake hydra suddenly appeared and pounced madly on the level 7 werewolf tribe that had just left the town. A dozen seconds later, the level 7 werewolf died in a ray, and there was no time to use the wolf hair incarnation. 10 minutes later, all the level 6 werewolves were killed. Rudolph finally vomited in one breath, letting the starlight snake attack freely around him. In his hand was the relic he had just obtained, the level 7 red fang. The relic disappeared in Rudolph's palm, appeared in the star map, and turned into a meteor flying towards the Taurus Psi star. The progress of Taurus reached 10/10, and this constellation was finally lit up. 3 suspended stars fell from the Taurus Psi star, which was a reward for Rudolph. Level 7 Red Fang Spear, Level 7 Magma Land Prison, Level 7 Northern Sky Canis Major Secret Formula. Level 7 Red Fang Spear is a method for making a witch weapon. Next time you encounter a Level 7 mutant red wolf, make one like this. It will definitely be very useful. Level 7 Magma Land Prison is a witchcraft that can imitate the core ability of the Level 7 mutant red wolf and create a swamp full of magma around it. Level 7 werewolves can wander, lurk, and move freely in the swamp, but the enemy will be tortured to death by high temperature and heat. Of course, he will not have the opportunity to use these abilities in front of Rudolph. Rudolph ruled out both options. He will have the opportunity to get these rewards in the future. He chose the secret method, the more precious Level 7 North Sky Secret Method. North Sky Canis Major Secret Method. Astrological Map Hound Hexagram. Main Relic Level 7 Werewolf Relic. Secondary Relic Level 7 Druid Relic, Level 7 High Priest Relic or Level 7 Annihilation Priest Relic. Ritual Location Canis Major Direct Area, Chara Hills. It's a pity that this secret formula doesn't have precious relics such as knights, word spirits, or zombies, and the few relics needed are relatively ordinary. If the druids or priests knew what the furnace thought, they would definitely be angry. The Annihilation Priest, Rudolph suddenly remembered the 7th level Annihilation Priest Canute. Well, he is quite suitable. If not, let's go with him. When we go to Saragosi, we will first kill Canute, the priest who has annoyed Rudolph for a long time. I have been annoyed with him for a long time. Compared with the secret formula, the forbidden technique is more helpful to Rudolph. He finally lit up Taurus and was about to obtain his first Earth-type forbidden technique, Taurus Forbidden Technique Crushed World. The ability of Taurus is mainly reflected in its hardness like gold and stone. However, this ability can also be applied in reverse, that is, to turn the enemy into loose sand in the hand, which can be crushed with a light grip. Any enemy that enters the world of pulverization will have a tendency to separate. Just a slight touch and a little external force can instantly crush the enemy into powder. The disadvantage of this technique is that the range of the technique is only 1 meter, that is, the effect of the world of pulverization will only appear within a diameter of 1 meter next to Rudolph. How to say it, this disadvantage is not a disadvantage for Rudolph, because he can easily get close to the enemy. For low-level enemies, this forbidden technique can directly crush the enemy. For enemies of the same level, an external force is required to crush the enemy. For high-level enemies, it will significantly reduce the enemy's defense ability. Rudolph has been thinking about whether to ask the alchemist for a few more level 8 alchemical bullets. His shooting finger fire can cause piercing injuries to high-level apostles, but the damage effect is not as good as the level 8 alchemical bullets. Now there is no need for this. Rudolph thought about it. The most important effect of the powder world is to cooperate with the shooter finger fire. One of these two forbidden techniques can weaken the defense ability of the 8th level apostle, and the other can cause fatal injuries. In addition to Rudolph's current ability to hide absolutely, how can I say that the enemy is so pitiful? After obtaining the 4-phase forbidden techniques and several absolute abilities, Rudolph finally became the most terrifying wizard in the world. Those who are stronger than him can't catch him, and those who are weaker than him can't avoid him. Even if he encounters the Pillar of Creation, Rudolph has the confidence to fight with them. He doesn't believe that he can't beat Ptolemy's students with a treasure like the star map that can see through all the known secrets and forbidden techniques of wizards. Ptolemy is indeed powerful, but other wizards have also developed many powerful abilities. Ptolemy will also have a headache if he gathers the wisdom of other wizards. Looking back at the town where the tragedy just happened, Rudolph suddenly felt that his forbidden techniques were still too few and were completely insufficient to prevent similar tragedies from happening. Rudolph discovered that a new level 6 werewolf had arrived at the back of the town, and he didn't know why this werewolf had arrived so late. The level 6 werewolf was terrified because he found that his wolf king, the level 7, were dead. The death of the level 7 werewolf was too strange. The level 6 werewolves around the werewolf were all killed by a single blow, leaving only a hole in the middle of their eyebrows. This was beyond his cognition, so he was terrified. Soon, other werewolves would be terrified because the death of this level 6 werewolf was beyond their cognition, and they would be doubly terrified and even more terrified. Behind the level 6 werewolf were 2 level 5 werewolves. The 2 werewolves suddenly whimpered terribly, and tried their best to kick their front paws, stopping their forward bodies abruptly. Their spines were bulging high, and their bodies were curled up. They saw an extremely horrifying scene. The huge head of the level 6 werewolf hit something unknown, and the head was instantly turned into powder. Blood mist, bone powder, and white brain matter were crushed into a suspended mist. The head of the level 6 werewolf disappeared, completely. These blood mist and bone powder still floated forward due to inertia. The body of the level 6 werewolf fell heavily to the ground after losing its head. The 2 level 5 werewolves could not see what attacked the level 6 werewolf. Rudolph's figure appeared next to the werewolf's corpse. It was a pity that the werewolf was too big. If it was a person who entered the world of powder, it would be fine. Even the corpse would not be left. Weird Star Witch. Author, White Silver Black Iron. Chapter 668. Duan took several senior witch hunters from the Judgment Department and went north to find and contact the furnace. He has divination spirits under his command, wizards responsible for identifying traces of witchcraft, and druids responsible for investigation. The configuration is very complete. After arriving in a northern county, Duan met the director of the county's judicial office. Minister Duan asked him, "Half a month ago, the werewolves outside your county suddenly collapsed." "Yes, Minister, we all thought that our county and city would be completely destroyed by the wolf tide like the following cities. People in those cities could not even escape because the areas between the cities were covered with full of werewolves. Has anyone contacted you about the werewolf tribe he destroyed?" "No, no one contacted us. 3 level 6 werewolf tribes gathered outside the city. However, before the werewolf tribe launched the attack, chaos broke out within the 3 werewolf tribes within an hour. The level 5 werewolves fled in all directions, as if they had seen something special. A scary thing. We also saw meteorites, dozens of meteorites falling from the sky, completely destroying the order of the werewolf tribe. Have you ever checked out of town? After inspection, we later found some very terrifying minced meat and bone powder outside the city. According to the description of the vampire witch hunter of the Judgment Office, it was the minced flesh and blood of the werewolf after it was crushed. It was very brutal. Several senior witch hunters behind Duan frowned, such a bloody method. How much he hates werewolves, so he would use this method to kill werewolves, which sounds strange. Please mark for me the city where the werewolf tribe mysteriously collapsed. Upon hearing the request from the director of the Judicial Department, the director quickly took out a map and began to mark the defense status of several cities in their county. While marking, the director asked, "Minister, is there a mysterious person helping us secretly? Of the 7 cities in our county, 3 were destroyed and 4 were preserved. This is beyond our expectations." The Constitutional Army stationed there secretly held a celebration banquet, and the brigade commander went crazy with joy. Duan replied, "Yes, there is someone who is secretly helping us. He has a deep hatred for werewolves and shuttles through the werewolf tribe like a ghost." Judging from the current situation, in addition to too many level 5 werewolves, 7 level 6 werewolves and level 6 werewolves were easily eliminated by him. Who is the good man? Who is the Forge? If possible, we all want to meet him. The director suddenly reacted, "No, isn't the Forge the wizard? The wizard wanted by the Carolingian United States." "Yes, that's him." The director of the Judiciary Office didn't know for a moment whether he should praise Fangchuo or doubt whether Fangchuo had some conspiracy to do this. Then he immediately said, "I actually doubted our savior. Damn it." After the director marked the location where the werewolf tribe collapsed, he left here and prepared to tell other people in the county that the mysterious man was the furnace. The witch hunter behind Duan said, "Minister, I can't think of the witchcraft that can grind a werewolf into mincemeat. To achieve this effect, wind witchcraft or witchcraft can do it, but such witchcraft should not be effective in a battle between level 7 apostles. How effective is it? The level 7 werewolf is very fast. Don't think of the furnace as an ordinary wizard. Maybe the furnace's wind witchcraft is extremely good." Duan thought for a while and asked him, "Is there any constellation in the northern sky? His characteristic is to beat people into pieces." The wizard hunter thought for a while and said, "I don't know. The furnace is very powerful, but I don't think it can accommodate the second northern constellation in a short time." The druid witch hunter on the side refuted him, "I think it is possible. The furnace is too murderous. He obviously has the ability to easily kill apostles of the same level. It is not difficult for the furnace to collect 3 level 7 relics. But it's difficult to collect 3 level 7 relics of the same constellation. I haven't gotten the second level 7 relic until now." Duan looked back at the witch hunter. "According to the intelligence we collected, the furnace has killed 5 level 7 werewolves. When we find the furnace, I will have a good talk with him and see if he can give you one." "Really? That's great." They could tell that Minister Duan was in a very good mood. Duan couldn't help but be in a bad mood. The better the performance of the furnace, the more correct their original decision was. Cooperating with the Crucible is not about compromising when facing wizards, but about finding the shining points in the values of the Crucible. This is the correct response based on comprehensive coordination such as intelligence analysis and psychological testing. When a wizard like the Forge crazily targets a certain force, any force will have a headache. The United Carolingian States should be glad that the Forge did not really regard them as enemies. The Forge's style of treating the werewolves without saying a word, lowering their heads and killing them is how he really treats his enemies. I don't know about East Elba. Will the hypocritical nobles be afraid after knowing the performance of the furnace here? They dare to arrest the furnace. If the furnace really hates them, then their nobles will turn into minced meat one by one. They will even no shadow can be seen." The Yanling witch hunter added, the furnace's stealth ability comes from the northern constellation Lacerta. According to records, there has not been a Lacerta wizard for more than 300 years. Unexpectedly, the furnace actually holds the inheritance of the Lacerta wizard. From now on, at first, any level 8 apostle may be assassinated. Minister, I don't think we can find the furnace, unless he is willing to see us, otherwise even if he appears opposite us now, we will not be able to see him or detect him. Duan nodded. We need to contact the furnace even if we can't find it. If the furnace can adjust its direction slightly, it will form a better cooperation with the Constitutional Army. The Constitutional Army hopes that the furnace will not stay in the north all the time. He should go to the Luberon region where the main force of the Constitutional Army's werewolves is located. There are 7 level 8 werewolves there. The Luberon region is the main attack direction of the werewolves. This is just a place for the werewolves to create chaos and hit the productivity of the parliament. There is a line on the map, which marks the location of more than a dozen collapsed werewolf tribes. The furnace has been going south, sweeping high-level werewolves along the way. According to the current intelligence, the furnace left a week ago. We will rush to the next county as soon as possible. I hope to encounter a collapsed werewolf tribe in that county and block the furnace. A speed-enhanced airship is waiting outside. The furnace needs to fight the werewolves, but they don't, so their speed is also very fast, getting closer and closer to the furnace. A week later, the airship landed outside a city, where many level 3 and 4 werewolf tribes were wandering. These were the outposts of a larger werewolf tribe, and a wolf tide would soon occur here. On the outskirts of the city, a pure black werewolf was lurking in the bushes. Minister Duan was waiting for the opportunity, and the level 8 black wolf was also waiting for the opportunity. The mutant black wolf with the strongest lurking ability among the werewolves would launch a sneak attack and counter sneak attack with the ghosts wandering in the wolf tide to see who has the stronger sneak attack ability. Weird Star Witch. Author, White Silver Black Iron. Chapter 669. The airship of the Capital Judicial Department was flying in the sky, and the director of the city's judicial department felt that he was too safe. If there were powerful witch hunters from the tribunal, the wolf tide would no longer be scary. There are more and more werewolves outside the city, and there are more and more wolf howls. It is the wolf commanding his followers and asking them to gather around him. As the werewolf tribe becomes larger and larger, the level of the alpha wolf in the werewolf tribe becomes higher and higher. The Yanling witch hunter said softly, "Level 6 werewolf, a level 6 werewolf has appeared." 6. There are already tens of thousands of werewolves in the werewolf tribe. Such a werewolf tribe can completely attack a small city. That's not all. After more than 10 minutes, Yanling witch hunter said, "The second level 6 werewolf tribe has appeared. I don't know how many descendants the werewolves have reproduced in the wilderness. No wonder the wilderness is so desolate. So many werewolves have long eaten up the wilderness. Even the wilderness that accounts for 1/3 of the northern continent cannot support so many werewolves." Later, the third level 6 werewolf tribe also appeared. Duan stood by the railing of the airship, looking at the dense wolf eyes in the darkness. He didn't know when the furnace would take action, or if the furnace didn't come here, he jumped in the air. He turned around and made arrangements, be prepared for battle. If the furnace comes, the furnace will take action without hesitation. If the furnace does not come, we must help this city survive this wolf wave. Dwayne is a level 7 alchemist, and the 3 witch hunters behind him are all level 6 witch hunters. This airship has the ability to fight against the level 7 werewolf tribe. The sound of artillery sounded. The Constitutional Army stationed here found that the werewolves had entered the attack distance and fired decisively. The artillery on the airship, the artillery on the artillery position, and the machine guns in the fortifications all fired at the same time. The Constitutional Army built layers of fortifications outside the city, rows of steel wire mesh like grape trellises, with sharp spikes originally used to deal with knights' horses, trenches, and even behind the sandbag low wall, which was used to control the system. Military soldiers with firearms would have a machine gun position every 10 meters. The machine gunners nervously grasped the machine guns and stared at the darkness on the opposite side. Of course, there are also artillery positions. The artillery positions are responsible for attacking the werewolves who gather together, and the soldiers are responsible for killing the fish that slip through the net. After the artillery position fired 3 rounds of artillery, Duan shook his head and said, "Don't wait, the furnace is not here, he did not choose the city. His attacks are very casual, and he will not wait for the start of the fight to kill the werewolves. The furnace does not need considering the strength of the werewolf tribe, he usually fights whenever he encounters them. Let's take action, otherwise the constitutional army will suffer casualties soon." The Judgment Department's airship suddenly accelerated, left the cluster of airships over the city, and flew outward. The furnace's play style is very correct. Defeat the alpha wolf first, and the werewolf tribe itself will fall into chaos. Werewolves of the same level do not have a necessary subordinate relationship. The werewolf tribe will instantly split into smaller werewolf tribes without unified instructions. The threat from the werewolf tribe will be much reduced. Not only the people from the Judgment Department are looking for the furnace, but the level 8 black wolves who came from the werewolf ancestral mountain are also looking for the furnace. He lurks silently in the darkness, watching an airship fly out over the city. The airship passed over the pack of wolves and went straight to the sky above the level 6 werewolf tribe. The black wolf eyes of the level 8 black wolf flashed with cold light. Is this a furnace? Is the forge using beheading tactics again? Werewolves along the way breathed at the airship, but the druids on the airship created hurricanes. This is a hurricane that can be called a natural disaster. Like a typhoon of more than 10 levels, any werewolf breath that approaches the airship will be blown away by the hurricane. Level 8 Black Wolf is a little confused. Is the druid helping the furnace? But after a while, it felt normal. The forge was cooperating with the West Elba Alchemy Council and had been helping the Alchemy Council fight against Xuanhuan. Did the forge merge with the people from the council? The mutated black wolf's body is like black mist, slowly floating upward with the darkness. His mutant ability is latent shadow, which allows his body to completely blend into the darkness, making him the most suitable werewolf for sneak attacks. Xuanhuan attaches great importance to the furnace. The furnace kills level 7 werewolves too quickly, so it sends out mutated black wolves to wait for an opportunity to quickly eliminate the cancer of the furnace. The witch hunters on the airship showed off their magic skills. Dwayne took out a revolver. This gun was completely black. There were 2 round tubes on the barrel. The lower round tube was the barrel, and the upper tube was for self-aiming. System. This gun is an enhanced version of Moon Eye Obsidian, and there are only 10 of them in the Judgment Division. This series of Moon Eye Obsidian is named Moon Eye Obsidian 200. The bullet chamber is filled with level 7 alchemy bullets. To deal with level 6 werewolves, level 7 alchemy bullets are a bit wasteful. However, the consumption of ammunition in war is very alarming. Ammunition that can kill the enemy is not really a waste. Duan looked down at the werewolf tribe and soon found a level 6 werewolf at the top of the hillside. The huge figure of the level 6 werewolf was looking up at the airship. A rich light had gathered in his mouth. This was an ordinary werewolf without mutation. It was not easy for an ordinary werewolf to become a level 6 werewolf. Duan directly pulled the trigger on the level 6 werewolf. At this moment, he suddenly discovered that the black luster on the Moon Eye Obsidian 200 gun suddenly expanded. This is a very strange phenomenon. How can black be so shiny? The darkness that appeared inexplicably expanded instantly and enveloped the entire airship. From the ground's perspective, a black ball suddenly appeared in the sky, and the airship was wrapped in the black ball. No matter how hard Duan blinked, his eyes were filled with darkness. Not only that, after he fired, there was no light from the muzzle, all the light disappeared, and it became impossible to see his fingers. The furnace. Pay the price for provoking Xuanhuan. An inhuman voice sounded in the darkness, obviously a low voice made by the special vocal cords in the werewolf's throat. Duane was very frightened. Furnace. Where is the furnace? Wait, this werewolf doesn't think he's the forge, does he? He is indeed here to implement decapitation tactics. The melting pot does like beheading tactics, but it does not mean that all those who carry out beheadings are the melting pot. The level 7 alchemy bullets had no effect when fired, and were completely unable to fight against the darkness. Duan quickly touched the space witchcraft and wanted to take out another gun. That gun was filled with level 8 alchemy bullets. As soon as he moved his hand, he found countless wolf heads appearing in the darkness. These wolf heads opened their mouths and bit him fiercely, their fangs piercing into the flesh. One wolf head was next to the other, on Duan's arm. There are 6 wolf heads. These wolf heads are not big, but their bite force is amazing, and they can crush Duan's bones in an instant. Just when a wolf head appeared on the throat, and Duan felt that he could not shoot the level 8 alchemy bullet, he suddenly saw the wolf head being shot through the middle of the eyebrow, and a hole appeared. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Weird Star Witch. Author, White Silver Black Iron. Chapter 670. The panic in Duan's eyes was so real, because he encountered a full blow from a level 8 werewolf. I don't know why, but the level 8 werewolf suddenly used all his strength, as if he was going to tear him into pieces, especially the wolf head running towards his throat. It looked like the body of a level 8 werewolf. It was too cruel and too fast. However, the fear in his eyes soon turned into surprise, and a hole appeared between the black wolf's head and eyebrows in front of him. Not only that, starting from this hole, the black wolf head began to shatter from the hole like ashes blown away by the wind. Between the eyebrows, brow ridges, eyes, protruding nose, fangs, black tongue. As the wolf head shattered, the darkness faded away, and Duan's eyes saw light again. This feeling was great. Even though his body was covered with wolf fang marks, Duan knew that he had survived. And this method of death, in which the center of the eyebrow is penetrated, is the signature method of the furnace. The moment you see the melting pot take action, you'd better cover your eyebrows. The leg bones of both legs were shattered. Duan fell to the ground, and the witch hunter behind him rushed up. The wizard hunter took out a plague witchcraft and quickly helped Duan treat his injuries. Duan's eyes looked forward, and he used his only movable cervical vertebrae, which had not been bitten off by the furnace, to raise his head. The mutated black wolf somehow managed to get out of the black barrel, catching Duan off guard. Now all the clones of Black Wolf have disappeared. At the same time, beneath the airship, a black wolf lay in the shadows. This black wolf is the real body, and all attacks are tests and disguises. What surprised the mutated black wolf was that he had no idea where the furnace appeared from, and he had no idea why the furnace could easily crush his clone. The furnace appeared at the bow of the ship when it launched the attack, but then disappeared without knowing where it went. At this moment, the black wolf suddenly shrank and turned into a black wolf hare, which was blown backward by the cold wind from high altitude. At the same time, a wolf hair on the ground swelled like a sarcoma. What Black Wolf was completely unaware of was that Rudolph was right behind him. Got you. The sarcoma was still deforming, and a miniature wolf head the size of a finger had just appeared, and a ray struck. A level 7 werewolf can make the wolf hair form a wolf hair barrier around it with a diameter of 10 to tens of meters, but the wolf hair of a level 8 werewolf can be distributed within a kilometer around the main body. Therefore, the most important thing to do when dealing with level 8 werewolves is to find a way to find the true form. The black wolf disappeared from the airship, thinking that he had transformed on the wolf hair silently, but what he didn't know was that Rudolph had secretly found all the wolf hairs of the level 8 black wolf half an hour ago, and transferred the wolf hairs of these wolf hairs. The location is memorized. Like a ghost, Rudolph shuttled around the level 8 black wolf, looking for it. Sometimes he would stare at the level 8 black wolf. He kept staring, using the sight of the level 8 black wolf to determine if there were any wolf scents that he had missed. His preparation was foolproof. This level 8 mutated black wolf was too confident and did not prepare many wolf hairs for splitting. A scorching ray shot out from Rudolph's fingertips and directly hit the still squirming black wolf's head. Accompanying the shooting finger fire is the forbidden art of Taurus, the world of powder. This level 8 mutated black wolf thought that his strongest ability was his latent ability, but what he didn't know was that as a Lacerda wizard, Rudolph was the apostle with the strongest latent ability in the world. The sarcoma completely turned into fleshy foam. 10 seconds later, Rudolph leaned over and picked up a black wolf hair on the ground. "You are a level 8 werewolf, you are in such a hurry. Why are you here so early? My Ivan is not here. Isn't this your visit in vain?" There is no feeling of joy at all. Duan had cold sweat on his forehead, and the broken bones all over his body were being restored under the influence of the plague witchcraft. He could even hear the clicking sounds inside his body. In order not to anger the forge, he did not bring the plague witch hunter, and it would be useless if he did. The plague witch hunter only theoretically restrained the Scorpio wizard, and there was no such theory here in the forge. A few minutes later, Duan suddenly discovered that there was an extra person on the bow of the ship. Rudolph was watching the recovery of Dwayne's broken leg with great interest. He gasped. Even Rudolph felt that the rejoining of bones was painful. "Mr. Furnace, where is the level 8 mutated black wolf?" "He's dead, this is his relic." Rudolph reached out and shook off the level 8 wolf hair that was like a steel needle in his hand. The surrounding witch hunters all widened their eyes in horror. The one who just attacked them turned out to be a level 8 werewolf. And the furnace actually killed the level 8 werewolf in an understatement. Duan didn't even care about his cracking broken leg and asked quickly, "The mutated black wolf has the second-rank stealth ability among the apostles. How did you kill him? Does the mutant black wolf rank second? Whose stealth ability ranks first?" Duan was a little speechless. "You, the Lacerda wizard, is the best at sneaking among all the apostles. Even the 8th level apostles cannot detect you. You said I am first and the mutant black wolf is second. Is there any problem with losing second to first? Isn't this normal?" Rudolph was very happy. "It seems that the gap between first and second is very big. Damn, I should call my concealment the best." Duan wanted to say that that was a level 8 werewolf. Excluding the ability to sneak, the level 8 black wolf, like other level 8 werewolves, also had powerful wolf hairs and clones, which were not something ordinary level 7 apostles could deal with. The characteristics of the mutant black wolf have been recorded by the Judgment Department. They can sneak in the dark. They are assassins in the night. They cannot be detected at night. They are insidious and vicious. After getting close, it will instantly tear the enemy apart with its terrifying wolf hair or huge mouth. However, in terms of insidious, the Crucible is clearly superior. Mr. Furnace, you should have taken action earlier. I almost died at the hands of the Black Wolf. How should I put it? If Black Wolf doesn't attack you, I won't be able to find his true form. Don't worry, as long as I'm here, you can't die. Be brave next time. If I were you, I would jump directly from the airship. Jump down and rush into the werewolf, so that the Black Wolf will be more easily exposed due to excitement. After working on it for a long time, I turned out to be your bait for catching werewolves." Duan was sweating profusely in pain, his bones crackling, and he gritted his teeth to talk to the furnace. There was no way he could jump among the wolves. Not all apostles were as ferocious as Furnace. The moment a werewolf kills someone, that's when he reveals his flaws. This level 8 werewolf didn't even show all the abilities of a level 8 werewolf, and I got it. The wolf hair of a level 8 werewolf is terrifying. On the battlefield, a level 8 werewolf is a werewolf tribe. Mr. Furnace, when did you come? I have been here since the time your airship arrived in the city. I was also on your airship. I was very happy to see you. I thought I could take a rest this time and let you take action. I would just watch from the side. Dwayne was carried on a stretcher. Not only him, but the expressions on the faces of other witch hunters were also wonderful. Dwayne asked in shock, "You have been on our airship since we came to the city?" "Yes, right next to you. But with your strength, you can't find me." "Oh, even your speaker house can't find me." The furnace's fluttering words sent chills all over the bodies of several witch hunters. The furnace was now too terrifying, making people fear from the bottom of their hearts. "Why do you look at me like this? What are your expressions? Am I a peeping Tom? I'm just tired. I thought I would be able to rest when I met you, so I wouldn't have to deal with the wolf wave," Rudolph said. "You should thank me. If it weren't for me, the level 8 mutated black wolf would behead the top leaders of your constitutional army and Congress, and the entire Penn region would collapse quickly." The witch hunters understood that the crucible was right and that a catastrophe had been avoided in Penn. Weird Star Witch. Author, White Silver Black Iron. Chapter 671. Duan needed to rest for a few hours before the fractures all over his body could heal completely. He left in a hurry this time and did not bring the plague witch hunter with him. He said on the stretcher, "Mr. Furnace, I still need your help this time. Please solve it. Don't leave after getting rid of the wolf tied here. I want to discuss some follow-up cooperation with you." "Okay, considering how miserable you are, I'll wait for you. I'll deal with the werewolf tribe below first." Under the gazes of several witch hunters, the furnace suddenly disappeared. As expected, there was no trace, not even a disappearing animation, just like the legendary Lacerda wizard. A few seconds later, the witch hunter asked, "Minister, did you say that the furnace is gone? Will he appear again in a few seconds to tease us? I don't know whether to leave or not. Let's go see if there is any chaos in the level 6 werewolf tribe. If the level 6 werewolf tribe starts to collapse, then the furnace is really gone." Yanling witch hunter quickly came to the fence and looked down. After more than 10 seconds, he said, "Gone, gone, the furnace is gone, the level 6 werewolf is dead." A hollow area appeared in the center of the werewolf tribe. "The werewolves are trying to escape." Everyone heaved a sigh of relief, and the wizard looked like he was about to cry. He hurriedly asked, "Who can help me recall my memories? Since we came to the city, have we ever said anything bad about the furnace? My mind is spinning. I'm so confused that I can't think of anything." The druid witch hunter said, "I'm sure, not saying much." "I didn't say how much. Is it yes or no?" "Yes. You told me that the Judgment Department should find a way to obtain the secret formula from the furnace. This will become a valuable asset to the Judgment Department." "I'm done. Did I say such a thing again? You also said that you want to find a way to get a level 7 werewolf relic from the furnace. The furnace has a lot of level 7 werewolf relics." I remember the sentence clearly. It wasn't me who said it. It was the minister who said it. The minister said that he asked for it for you, and it has nothing to do with you. The witch hunter's face fell, and he felt that he was finished and had completely offended the forge. Just after these few words, the Yanling witch hunter said, "The second level 6 werewolf tribe collapsed, and there is only one werewolf tribe left." Duan said, "Carry me back to the cabin. There is no surprise. All the high-level werewolves here will die quickly. The furnace is especially good at beheading. He is very suitable for dealing with the werewolf tribe. The organization of the werewolf tribe completely depends on the Wolf King. If the Wolf King dies otherwise, The other werewolves will scatter. The howling of wolves outside the city became more and more strange. It went from a high-pitched and threatening howl to more and more chaotic, and finally the sound turned out to be like a dog barking, imitating the sound made by a wild dog being hit with a stick. Chaos broke out before the werewolf tribe attacked the city. The residents on the rooftop used loudspeakers to tell the people on the street everything that happened outside the city. The city erupted in cheers, people cried with joy, and the werewolf tribe outside the city collapsed. According to rumors, other cities were completely destroyed, and both young and old became food for werewolves. When they were surrounded by howling wolves one after another, they realized that when the number of werewolves reached a certain level, bullets and artillery could not provide them with a sense of security. Now they have survived this catastrophe, and no longer need to become food for werewolves. People have withdrawn their farewells to their loved ones, and they no longer need to die. All this is thanks to the airship that is said to have come from the capital city of Legura. There are big shots from the Judgment Department on board that airship. The capital still remembers the city at this time. How can it not make people burst into tears? Thanks to the Adjudication Office's negative propaganda against wizards all year round, now the Adjudication Office wants to tell the people that the Wizard's Forge saved them, but they don't believe it either. The tribunal really wanted to please the furnace and give credit to the furnace, but they couldn't do it and the citizens didn't believe it. In the city that has survived the disaster, laughter is everywhere. 2 hours later, Rudolph and Dwayne had already searched 2 taverns but could not find a place. Every place was full. Rudolph saw that Dwayne was a little reluctant to try his luck in the 3rd tavern, and said, "What are you afraid of? You are the head of the Judgment Department of the House of Lords, and no one here knows you." Dwayne quickly explained, "I'm not afraid of being recognized. I mean, Mr. Furnace, if you want to drink, the council can prepare the best wine for you and the best open-air garden in the city." Rudolph glanced at Dwayne. "Do I need a few drinks from you? I saved the city. Although they don't know it, and although the credit goes to you, I am the one who has worked the hardest, your constitutional army. Only a few level 5 werewolves were eliminated. I come to the pub just to see other people happy, so that I feel more accomplished. I have traveled to more than 10 cities in a row, can't I enjoy it today?" "Sure." Dwayne felt that his people were so ineffective that they couldn't even get a tavern down. Rudolph seemed to know what Dwayne was thinking. Don't kick everyone out of a certain tavern in advance and then replace them with your people. What fun can I have tonight? The 3rd tavern was still full, and Rudolph did not leave. Instead, he stood at the door and waited in line. The bartender said very happily, "Because of tonight's big victory, our boss said that each customer will receive a bottle of beer as a gift, including the waiting customers." "That's great." Rudolph and Dwayne each had a bottle of beer, leaning against the wall outside the door, looking at the happy pedestrians on the street. Rudolph yawned. He was really tired. He had to rest tonight. Even a strong body would be exhausted after running around continuously, especially mental fatigue. There was no way to relieve it except to have a good sleep. He looked at the people on the street and said, "These people should be reporting their safety to their friends or relatives. Look how happy they are. Thank you, Mr. Furnace." "Stop. You have said it many times tonight. I am tired of hearing it. You are not good at flattering people. Don't you usually flatter your Prime Minister?" Mr. House is an upright person. He doesn't like others to flatter him. Moreover, after we were reorganized into the United States of West Elba, Mr. House is now the Prime Minister, not the Prime Minister." "Prime Minister, I know. I don't think Prime Minister House doesn't like to flatter him. From what I said tonight, judging from your communication, maybe he just doesn't like you to flatter him. Your flattery skills are mediocre and pretentious, which makes me uncomfortable. I accept your criticism." Mr. Furnace Dwayne looked at the people on both sides far away and whispered, I would like to ask you to go to the main battlefield, Luberon region, to fight against the level 8 werewolves there. Rudolph thought about it and shook his head. The main force of the Constitutional Army is piled up on your main battlefield. It is now in a stalemate and is not very dangerous. Compared with going to the main battlefield, I prefer to help these cities in the rear. Even if I go to the Eagle's Beak Peninsula, there are many things I want to do more.